We're headed off to our old people New Year's cocktail party.
It makes you think.
Treasure your precious time you have left. Live your life to the fullest, because all can be taken away in an instant. Almost there.
It really is mind-blowing to talk to someone who's like, hey, remember that time it was 1975 and my child was 10
Yeah.
and my other child was 12?
Sometimes I think about the idea of like, I'm the age I am now in this time frame, so that would mean when my grandpa was insert whatever age, it must have been this year, that year, and just thinking of like, man, if I was like 25 and the Beatles were just coming to America, like that would have been crazy. Like what? Or like the moon landing, like that would have been crazy. Like if like
the alleged moon landing.
The
Oh, speaking of our relatives were telling us, so they've traveled the world a lot, and our relatives were telling us that in Vietnam, the Vietnam War is called the American War.
Makes sense.
And then also around the time...
We came to them.
Yeah, and also one of our relatives put himself into the military because at that time it was pretty much expected that you'd have to go to the military because of the Vietnam War on the American side. And so he put himself into the military and went through ROTC in college. Whoops. Went through ROTC in college and then started off in the military as an officer. And so it's kind of crazy to think about how much has changed.
It's a different time.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be popular to institute a draft again today. But I don't know that they even need it.
Yeah. A lot of you guys are British, so hopefully we'd be fighting on the same side. At least.
If war happened today, we would be. I don't know if things might change, but...
I wonder what we'd fight about. What started the World War One? They shot someone?
That was, so they, like, I think nationalists of some kind assassinated the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, and that was, like, the spark that the direct cause, but, like, the underlying causes went back many years, and it became gnarly because back then there were a lot of like trigger agreements that the countries were in where it was like, okay, like if X country fights a war against Y country, we will join you. And like, so then when like something small, like very quickly, but they also thought that people thought they were in these agreements because people didn't think like a war would ever happen because the countries were too interconnected, which turned out, and it's true that the countries were very interconnected, but it turned out not to be true, that like that meant it would never be a war. And then when the war did start, they thought that it would end like very quickly, which was also not the case. I also read recently that, hi.
Thank you.
Thanks. I also read recently that I forget if this was World War I or II. I think World War I, but I could be wrong. But the idea that if the Allies had, like, the technology for tanks was available, but, like, they didn't realize how it could be helpful. So if the Allies had started using tanks earlier than they did, the war could have been over, like, way, way, way quicker. But they didn't. Sometimes it takes a while. It seems obvious looking back, but sometimes it takes a while to realize when like a recent development can be beneficial. They didn't use tanks quickly enough.
Yeah, we've met so many people who have been in the military in this older person complex, like Navy, Marines, Army, just everything, and seemingly every war imaginable in the last 100 years. Someone on this campus has been in that war. Crazy.
Yeah, back then it was like really weird to not be in a war. Or not a war, to not be in the military whatsoever, because it was like you probably would be drafted or join voluntarily. So it was like if you slipped through the cracks, it was like, how'd you do that? Some people did, though.
Yeah, now we just tap away at our keyboards with our soft hands. Yeah, it's nice to not obsess over...
Armed conflict.
Yes, armed conflict. Armed conflict. Why is that so hard to say? Armed conflict. You know, it's probably because we don't need to say it.
Yeah. That's funny. I get it now.
Okay.
Here comes